Time to have a little fun. Got another Blanche River Health Foundation chat this morning, and Cassandra James joins us once again, the executive coordinator of the Blanche River Health Foundation. And Cassie has brought a friend this morning. Barbara Effenberger joins us, Vice President, Corporate Services and Chief Financial Officer. Can you get all that on a business card?
Potentially. It's a pretty long name.
Good to see you, Barb. Glad you could join us this morning. Why don't you, so far I've learned what Cassie does. Mm-hmm. I've learned what George does. Mm-hmm. By the time this is all said and done, I'm going to be in everybody's business. What do you do?
Well, I was raised locally with a very deep connection to the community.
All right.
Background in healthcare, finance, and corporate services. My previous experience was at Kirkland Lake Gold as the regional finance manager.
Okay.
And currently I oversee the financial performance and planning and corporate services and strategic investments at Blanche River Health. And this is also ensuring that our hospital runs efficiently and can provide top quality care. And I'm very passionate about making sure that our hospital has the resources it needs to make healthcare work for you.
All right. So as part of your job, do you carry a big stick?
Well, some people might think so.
She's fairly busy all day long.
I could well imagine. Cassie, is where we learn every day through news stories and whatnot. Government funds very little when it comes to medical equipment and whatnot. The support of the foundation goes to buy medical equipment and one of the things I would like to know, sort of going a little bit off topic here, is how do we determine the priority for equipment for the needs of the hospital?
Well, that's a fairly detailed process. And actually, Barbara kind of heads that up at the hospital. There's an annual review. All the departments are a part of that review. They submit their needs, and then they look at the timelines, budgets. There's a lot of process that goes through that. And then basically Barbara and the management team come to the foundation and say, okay, these are the top priorities. These are our critical needs. And then they'll also share with us things that are alternative needs, like wellness needs, things like that, because we also need to keep our staff healthy and happy so that they can do the great work that they're doing. So that's kind of how the equipment wish list comes to be.
Okay. Over the, let's say over the last year or so, if you had to guess, how much money has been raised toward equipment, and how many different pieces of medical equipment have been bought over the last little while?
Well, that I can tell you because we spent a lot of time there. I'm learning lots. I'm learning lots about this money and funding equipment. It's as more and more people are figuring out that the government doesn't fund very much equipment, very little. We're getting more and more donations coming in, which is critical. On average, the hospital's critical needs, like urgent needs, is anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
Last year, super proud, the foundation actually donated over $800,000 to the hospital to fund over 25 different pieces of equipment and projects. So that's a big accomplishment. That's kudos to the towns, the different organizations that donate, all those things that have come in that allowed that to happen.
That's absolutely amazing.
Barbara can actually tell you about some of the different projects we funded.
All right, well, hit me with a few, Barb.
Sure, there's three that I'd like to highlight today.
Okay.
One is our automatic external defibrillators.
What the heck is that?
Also known as AEDs. They're used in emergency situations to restart a patient's heart during sudden cardiac arrest.
Ah, okay.
So they're really
those
critical.
The paddle things?
Kind of.
Yes, very similar. They would be more mobile.
Stuff we see on TV, right?
Yeah. Yes. They're very critical for our first responders and hospital teams, ensuring life-saving care in those high-risk situations. Another item that I'd like to note is our cardiac monitors. These are used in a variety of our departments, so our emergency department, our ICU, and general care to detect early signs of heart problems. They allow our physicians and our nurses to continuously track a patient's heart and vitals, and they're used at both of our sites. And the last one, which is a biggie, and I'm sure everybody's heard about this already, is our non-urgent transportation vehicles.
Yeah.
So these provide safe and reliable transportation for our inpatients at both sites to be able to go to any medical appointments out of town. And the medical appointments range north towards Timmins and south towards North Bay and Sudbury. And on an annual basis, we do about 500 trips a year.
Seriously? 500 trips?
500 trips a year.
I feel like I'm always seeing those trucks go
You'll
drive
see
by
them
my
driving
house.
around.
Wow.
Mornings, weekends.
Now that you mentioned it, I do see them almost every day.
Yeah.
And I don't cruise around a whole lot, and I see them in my limited travels. Cassie, talking about the foundation lives off donations and whatnot. When people make a donation, does it go into a general fund, or can someone sort of pinpoint something exactly they want to contribute to?
Well, they can do whichever they want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so donations can go directly to a specific hospital site. So, sometimes Englehart residents really want the money to go only to the Englehart Hospital or Kirkland to the Kirkland site. That's okay. Some people really want to dedicate it or specify it to a specific department, like oncology, or they want it to go to the ER or the OR. Christmas Wish, the Magic of Christmas, their donation, they wanted it to go to the palliative care unit. So you can specify, and that's called a restricted donation.
Okay.
And then other donations are general donations. So if you just make a donation and don't specify anything, then it goes into the general fund. They are more flexible. They help us address the greatest priorities at any given time. So remember we were talking about how Barbara could come to me with the wish list of the urgent priority. Well, then we would pull from the general fund if it didn't match with the restricted donation. The Earlton Lions Club actually just donated $3,500 to the foundation. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
And they chose to specify they wanted $2,000 restricted to be used on Englehart's needs, and the remaining balance to be reused on the Kirkland Lake needs.
Nice. Looking ahead, Barbara, what's atop the list of funding needs?
I'll mention a couple. One is our Seraflex sit-to-stand lift. This is for our Englehart site. It is a sit-to-stand movement aid that assists our patients transitioning from a seated to a standing position, and it provides the patient the ability and dignity of standing up with far less intervention than a ceiling lift, which would involve wrapping you up in a hammock-like lift.
Yeah, I've seen those. They don't look like a whole lot of fun.
No, so the Seraflex sit-to-stand is exactly kind of what's on our wish list right now, as well as an eye stretcher. Not exactly what you think. This is for cardiac surgeries. And so it's actually a stretcher to do cardiac surgeries, which will actually help improve the turnaround time for our northern patients that won't have to travel out of town or wait on a list of about 9 months at this point. And as Cassie had mentioned, we do have needs of about $400,000 to $500,000 annually for equipment needs, which includes both of our sites, Kirkland and Englehart. And right now, the foundation has already committed $300,000 to earn some of those items on our wish list. And as Cassie also mentioned, on an ongoing basis, we review our equipment needs internally and identify some of those high-risk items or items that require replacement. And some examples are actually our crash carts in our emergency departments require replacements, various scopes and other equipment in our operating room, bariatric equipment at both sites, which would be wheelchairs, beds, and commodes, as well as pediatric equipment, which includes infant warmers and a crib.
Okay, we got about a little under a minute to go. Cassie, why don't you wrap this up by reminding everyone how they can support the hospital? I know we've inched some people closer to opening up their wallets for the foundation. How can people go about that? I know we get Split the Pot, and there's all kinds of ways to do it.
That's right, exactly. So again, splitthepot.ca. Pick your tickets, go in on those group buys, get them by yourself, but always make sure to pick Blanche River Health at checkout.
Yes.
Key part. The other thing is we just published an article with details about what's called planned giving, which is leaving a gift in your will. So really encourage you to speak to your financial planner or your lawyer about that, or if you have questions, you can contact me. That's a really great way to make sure that, a part of your estate lives on and supports the people for years and years to come. Or simply make a donation online at brhfoundation.ca or drop it off at Central Registry at either site. Again, I say this all the time, so I sound like a broken record. But every penny counts. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be $1,000. It can be $10. It can be $20. If you want to be $1,000, I will happily take the $1,000 or more. But yeah, brhfoundation.ca. Contact me if you have questions. Let me help you help our communities.
And buy your split the pot tickets.
And buy those split the pot tickets.
Because it's the anticipation on draw days of waiting for that.
Yes, we had 3 winners in February.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Very exciting.
And none of them were named Fergie.
Next time.
Wasn't happy about that. Cassandra James, Executive Coordinator of the Blanche River Health Foundation, and Barbara Effenberger, Vice President, Corporate Services and Chief Financial Officer. Thank you, ladies, so very much for this.
Thank you so much
Thank you for having us.
Enjoy your day, and we'll do it again in the month of April.
That sounds like a plan.
All right.